Oh yeah, it's Tuesday, right? Is it Tuesday already? Wow. Mace Windu possibly returning? Samuel L. Jackson giving the fans what they want, and that is a glimmer of hope in the possibility of Mace Windu's return. Also, another crazy return happening in Skeleton Crew with who to the what now? We'll get to it all in just a minute, but without further ado, how's everybody doing on this fine Tuesday afternoon? What's up, chat? This is a strange day indeed. Mace Windu possibly returning. We're going to talk about it. But Skeleton Crew just got confirmed yet another weird piece of news. When it comes to Skeleton Crew, we've talked about it before. We don't know much about this show. We know we're going to focus on pirates, which we haven't really seen much in Star Wars. We see them here and there, but not really focusing on pirates. We don't really know the plot of the show, but we do know it's going to be sort of like a Goonies meets Star Wars type deal. But we've talked about the possibility of seeing characters like a Hondo Ohnaka, Omega in live action for the first time, a Cal Kestis, or even some crazier characters like a Maz Kanata or something like that. But this is a really weird pull for Skeleton Crew, chat. So without further ado, let's talk about it. Actually, no, before we even get to it, I'm going to leave you guys on a little cliffhanger there for a second. Let's say hi to everybody in the chat. Let's start off this stream right, shall we? Okay. Mando United, what is up? I Haja in the house. Star Wars Facts, how we doing? Kit Fisto, what is up? Brandon Baker, what is up? Starship 66, how we doing? Jack Robbins, what is up? Chris, what is up? B-Man, how we doing? Mike, how we doing? Grandmaster, what is up? Land Sky, how we doing? Thomas, what is up? Sombra, how we doing? Dustin Kennedy in the house. Skleebean, how we doing? King Shadow, what is up? You guys know the deal. If I didn't say hi to you yet, just yell at me in the chat. Let's give everybody a nice little
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
All right. So, a character from a Star Wars movie that fans have all but forgotten is returning in the Skeleton Crew. So without leaving you guys on any more of a cliffhanger, let's talk about this. This is coming, another exclusive from Empire Magazine. I don't know why Empire gets all the exclusives. Disney, if you're watching, we know that you are. Hey, right here. I'll take an exclusive. I'll take it. I'll tell everybody. But Empire, again, gets the exclusive. So let's read this, shall we? A familiar face is returning to Star Wars. Star Wars Skeleton Crew will bring back the Teek. Now, I'm sure many of you in the chat are going, the what to the who now? But let's talk about it. It is from the Ewok movie. Let's read this. Okay. In recent years, hang on, sorry. Centered that a little better. There we go. All right. In recent years, more extraneous parts of the Star Wars lore have been welcomed back to the saga's main continuity. Shows like The Mandalorian and Ahsoka have been a treasure trove for references to lesser explored areas of the galaxy's mythos, whether it's live-action debuts of Chrysanthemum or Grand Admiral Thrawn, or a glimpse at the Mythosaur, or the arrival of Dark Troopers, also in The Mandalorian. Now, yes, there are Legends characters or comic characters brought into live action, like the Mythosaur, like Grand Admiral Thrawn, like Chrysanthemum. But what this article doesn't mention is that we've seen something similar to this before, similar to this handsome fella right there showing up in Skeleton Crew. This isn't the first time that they've done something like this before. The Mandalorian Season 3, one of the main characters is R5. I mean, main character is an overstatement, but R5. And R5 is the droid that had a bad motivator, Uncle Owen! So... R5 becomes is brought back to life in The Mandalorian when we haven't seen him since his very, very small role in A New Hope 40 some odd years ago. So this isn't the first time we've brought back a really old character. Yeah. Okay, but let's keep reading. But one part of Star Wars history that isn't considered canon anymore, and so far hasn't been welcomed back in, is a pair of Ewok movies. Give me a 1 into the chat if you've seen these Ewok movies. I believe they're on Disney Plus. Actually, let's check that out. Give me a 1 into the chat if you've seen these Ewok movies. I'm pretty sure they're on Disney Plus. Let me look them up. Let's look it up. Ewok. Yeah, okay. Yes, they're both on Disney Plus. So, if you want to watch these Ewok movies, they are right here on Disney Plus. Yeah, I'm not that surprised. Many of you haven't seen the Ewok movie. Honestly, neither have I, but I might have to watch them now. Then there's actually this Ewok animated one from 85 too. Wow, so they went movie, animated show. Imagine that. Okay, but let's keep reading. They've been all but forgotten, okay? These pair of Ewok movies, Caravan of Courage and The Battle for Endor. The two made for TV films were released in the mid-'80s and now have a home on Disney Plus. Even if they are not part of the official story these days, but if you have a soft spot for Wicket's adventures, buckle up. One species from the Battle of Endor is about to make a comeback. So, this species we're talking about here, the Teek, this handsome fella right here, is coming back in the Skeleton Crew. Let's keep reading. Okay. Speaking with Empire, the director's roundtable interviews for Star Wars Skeleton Crew, filmmaker David Lowery revealed that the Teek, the super speedy Endor native, will be making a comeback in his episode. And yes, they'll be conjured with practical effects. So just like they were in these movies, like the Ewoks are too, it will be practical effects. It will not be CGI. Okay. I was most excited about having hand puppets on set, says Lowry. It's the most ancient technology being used and the most cutting-edge technology simultaneously. So let's take a second to remember this. There was some news about Skeleton Crew probably 5-ish months ago now that they're bringing back Phil... Oh, what's his last name? Phil... Ah, damn it. Chat, what's his name? What's his name? Phil something from the original trilogy. What the hell's his name? He's a stop motion guy. You guys know what I'm talking about. Come on, chat. Help me out, chat. '50th Thunder says, I've seen Caravan watch the Ewok cartoon when I was a kid a long, long time ago. There you go. Fearless, what's up? What is up? Phil Skywalker? No. Yes, Phil Tippett. Thank you. Okay, Phil Tippett. So he is back for the first time since the original trilogy. Did he work on the prequels? No, I think the original trilogy. He is back working on Star Wars with this Skeleton Crew show. Most known for his stop motion stuff in the original trilogy, but he also worked with puppets, obviously, stop motion, but puppets, clay stuff, all that. Phil is the guy. And honestly, this article might be talking about why they brought Phil back. And it might be because of our boys, the Teeks. Okay, let's keep reading. Where the hell was I? Oh, here we go. That combination was absolutely magical. There's a character in my episode that's the Teek from the Battle of Endor, which is the Ewok movie. And it's just a little hand puppet. It's just a wiggly hands. Wiggles hands? Okay. I was like, he's going to get digitally touched up or replaced. No. In the final episode, it's just the hand puppet in the middle of this crazy volume set. That's pretty wild. They didn't touch this up digitally at all. Like, even Grogu, who is a puppet, is still... They use some sort of CGI on him to sort of make it look better. and they're just going to leave this sort of the same. Interesting. According to Lowry, his episode of Skeleton Crew will be defined by those practical effects. Asked to sum up the Star Wars installment in a single word, he said, "I teased it already, but puppets. The Ewok movie comeback begins here." So he has to describe Skeleton Crew in one word, or at least his episode of Skeleton Crew in one word, and that is puppets. Honestly, the more and more we learn about the Skeleton Crew show, the more and more confused I get. I'm being completely honest, and that's the end of that article, by the way. I'm being completely honest. I don't know what to expect with this show. I really don't. Puppets are cool in Star Wars. We've seen them before. The Mandalorian and all the Disney Plus shows of recent past have used those practical effects time and time again. With the prequel trilogy, they moved away from that. Even with the sequel trilogy, they had some more puppets, but it's still more digital than it is puppets. And with the Disney Plus shows, they focused more on bringing sort of puppets back to life, to go back to the original feel of the original trilogy. And it makes sense because this Mandoverse takes place right after the original trilogy, so it feels like a continuous story in that sort of feeling. But Skeleton Crew seems like it's going to be focused, or at least emphasizing, the puppets in the sort of original trilogy feel of Star Wars. Pirates, the unknown outer rim, dirty, dusty cantina of A New Hope. It's going to feel more like that than anything else we've seen, which is pretty cool. And to bring back this ugly bastard, handsome fella, the Teek, will be pretty interesting. Pretty damn interesting, if I do say so myself. I really don't know what to expect. But with that being said, this is not the only return that we were talking about today. The Teek returning to Star Wars and Skeleton Crew is not the only return we're talking about today, chat. As you may have heard over the last, 12 hours, 15, 16, 17 hours, Samuel L. Jackson has stoked the flames of the Star Wars fandom by giving ammunition to the fans who are holding out so much hope that Mace frickin' Windu is still alive. Now, this happened last night on the Jimmy Fallon show. Shout out Jimmy Fallon, if you're watching, and we know that you are. On the Jimmy Fallon show, Samuel L. Jackson was on promoting some new show or movie, whatever, and he talked about all of his roles in the past, or his big ones, Mace Windu, Nick Fury, but Mace Windu. And he talks about how he still thinks that Mace Windu is alive. Now, we're going to get to exactly what he said in a second, but I want to put up a poll in the chat, okay? I want to put up a poll in the chat. Do you want, keyword being want, Mace Windu to return? Yes or no? Do you want Mace Windu to return? Tell me why in the chat. All right, let's talk about it. I got an article pulled up right here, so let's read this. Okay, so this article came from 3 minutes ago. So let's read it. He's out there. Samuel L. Jackson doubles down on Mace Windu's survival in Star Wars. Okay. Samuel L. Jackson doubles down on Mace Windu's survived in the Star Wars universe. Jackson played the Jedi Master character in all 3 prequel trilogy films. However, in 2005's Revenge of the Sith, it appears as if Mace Windu had been killed after confronting Palpatine. So we all know how it went down. He confronts Palpatine with Kit Fisto and some others, and they all get sliced and diced, but Mace Windu holds his own. This epic battle happens in Palpatine's office. He gets his arm chopped off by Anakin Skywalker, who intervenes, chooses the dark side over the light, chooses Palpatine over the Jedi, chops off his arm. He gets electrocuted by the unlimited power, and he gets thrown off into the Coruscant sky, or into the Coruscant ground, I guess. He gets thrown out the window of a very high-storied building in Coruscant. Now, you can already be making the excuse of, there's no way he couldn't have survived that. There's so many ships passing by. He could have just landed on one of those. We've seen Jedi survive these falls before. We've seen characters in Star Wars, Darth Maul, Palpatine return from even worse than that. He's still alive. We'll talk about it, but let's read what he said first. In a recent appearance on The Tonight Show, literally last night, Samuel L. Jackson discussed his thoughts on Windu's fate, saying that he is not taking the controversial approach. He gave several reasons as to why Windu is not dead, such as Star Wars' own history with characters having one arm that have a second, and he is the second most powerful Jedi after Yoda. Let's just read what he had to say. There's a history of one-armed, one-handed people in Star Wars universe. So just because they cut off my arm and I fell out a window doesn't mean I'm dead. I'm a Jedi, the second most powerful Jedi in the galaxy, next to Yoda, so I can float, he says. And then he says, yes, he is out there. Yes, he is out there walking the earth with Jules. That's just kind of a joke because Jules is one of his other characters. We won't watch this interview because for some reason The Tonight Show loves to just shut us down. They love to just copyright strike us to no end. So we're not going to watch the video. But that is what he said verbatim. So he's not wrong. There is a history of one-armed characters in Star Wars, or one-handed characters in Star Wars, surviving. And there's a history of characters falling from a very high place and surviving. From Luke to Palpatine to Darth Maul to all of them. You watch the Clone Wars, they're always just falling from a high place. There is a possibility that, in theory, Mace Windu could have survived this fall. Yeah, Mace Windu falls out a window. Ironic. Okay, but let's keep reading. What Mace Windu's survival would mean for Star Wars. Now let's talk about the consequences here. Even though it appears that Windu died in Revenge of the Sith, Jackson refers to other Star Wars characters that do help back his point. Obi-Wan Kenobi believed that Anakin Skywalker died after the battle on Mustafar. It wasn't until 10 years later that Obi-Wan learned that his former apprentice actually survived. Okay. Actually survived. Palpatine himself also had an apparent death similar to Windu's when Darth Vader threw him down the shaft and later revealed that he was alive decades later. If Palpatine could have survived that similar fall, it's possible that Windu could have too. Now, somehow Windu returns. Kind of has a nice ring to it, but let's keep reading. Since the Jedi were being hunted, Windu probably would have gone into hiding, like Obi-Wan and Yoda in the original trilogy. This would also explain his absence in stories after Revenge of the Sith. However, it remains questionable if Windu could reappear at any point in Star Wars. So this is their take. We'll read their take and then we'll give ours. As one of the most powerful Jedis in the Star Wars galaxy, if anyone is going to survive that type of fall, it would be Mace Windu, since Windu is one of the most powerful characters from the prequel trilogy. Having him survive also opens the possibility to telling interesting stories. There could be a story where Windu ends up after having to go into hiding, just like Obi-Wan Kenobi miniseries did with Obi-Wan. A new story would also provide a definitive closure for one of the most powerful Jedis in the galaxy. Okay, so they clearly are on the side of they think he should survive and will survive. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about it, chat. I've been a very big proponent of no. Mace Windu's dead. He's not coming back. And the reason for that being, he's not in anything else. Now, the argument can be made, Mike, the original trilogy was made before the prequel trilogy. Obviously! I'm not stupid! But with that being said, he's still not involved in that trilogy. And the characters that did survive Order 66, that do play a major role in the Jedi Order, like Mace Windu, are Yoda and Obi-Wan, both of which are in the original trilogy, and so is Anakin, who is Darth Vader. So, with that being said, I don't think it's likely that Mace Windu survived the fall. just because he's not in anything else. He's not in Rebels. He's not in Andor. He's not in Kenobi. He's not in Bad Batch. He's not in the original trilogy. He's not in The Mandalorian. He's not in the Book of Boba Fett. He's not in anything. And if you were to bring him back now, you would really need a pretty damn good story to explain where he's been. Mace Windu's always been a character who would sort of be the one to hunt down and kill Darth Vader or Palpatine because they're controlling the galaxy. He's not a guy who's going to go and hide forever, cower behind just nothingness. He's going to want to fight. That's his arc. That's his character development that we see in the prequel trilogy. So there has to be a pretty damn good story if Mace Windu is going to come back. But I don't think, I don't see it being possible. I still don't see it being possible, but please tell me in the chat.
This is where the fun begins.
67% of you. 67% of you say yes, you want Mace Windu to come back. For all of you, all you 67%ers, how? Please tell me how. Oh, Darth Plagueis lives with a very generous $5 holla. God damn. Says, honestly, I want Mace back.
Incorrect.
Just kidding. And says, also, congrats on 95K. Thank you, Darth Plagueis. I appreciate that quite a bit. Super chats, memberships, keep the lights on over here. I appreciate it. But yeah, we're about to hit 96K actually, hopefully during this live stream or after the live stream. But somebody keep an eye out on the thing there, on the subscriber count, because we might hit 96K this stream. Okay, but where was I? Oh yeah, you said you want Mace Windu to come back. Well, why? Why, chat? Why do we want Mace Windu to come back? Just because it's Samuel L. Jackson? Just because it would be cool? Just for the fan service of it all? Is there an actual story there? Now, the one reason that I would love to see him come back, I don't want to see him come back, but if he were to come back, the reason I would like to see it is for Boba Fett. Because if you're going to do a Book of Boba Fett Season 2, and Mace Windu's going to be the sort of villain of the season, where Boba Fett's trying to hunt down the guy who killed his father, I might be down for that. But other than that, I don't really see him coming back, or if he does come back, having it play any sort of role positively in the Star Wars timeline. But still, 66, nice, Order 66% of you guys still say yes. And I'm intrigued to know why. Mace Cameron, what's up? Says every Mace deserves a second chance. Okay. Coming from a Mace that is respectable. Andy K, what's up? Darth Raccoon, how we doing? John says, when I was a kid, we could get killed. Wait, what? When I was a kid, we could get killed, and we were told to walk it off, rub some dirt on it, and quit crying. So what you're telling me is we should go find Mace Windu's body on Coruscant, whether it's dead or alive, and say, quit crying, rub some dirt on that arm that you don't have anymore, and walk it off. Sounds like a good plan. The retcon alone would be a headache. Well, how would it be a retcon? If you're going to keep him alive, it's not that big a retcon. You just have to explain where he's been, which I think is a headache too, I guess. Yeah. Mace Windu should come back as a bounty hunter, working alongside bounty hunters called a bounty hunter called Vincent, played by John Travolta. No, but it would be funny. No. If he comes back, he would have to be in hiding. Okay. Here's one theory that I've heard before that would be incredible. And it's that Mace went into hiding. And there's one other Star Wars character. Well, there's a few other Star Wars characters. But there's one other particular Star Wars character that could have gone into hiding with him that has made a return that would sort of allow Mace's return to go more smoothly, you know? Any guesses on who that character might be, chat? A character that's become very prominent in the Star Wars universe as of late could be the key to bringing Mace Windu back. That's Tony, what's up, first of all? And he says, Mace versus Boba in a shootout and Mace loses. That would be cool, but then you're just bringing back Mace Windu just to lose. If you're bringing back Mace Windu, he's going to survive. He's going to survive for a little bit, or else what's the point? Just to bring him back and die? I don't think so. Ahsoka? No, but good guess. That's a good guess, for sure. Ahsoka would know who Mace Windu is, but I don't think she ever, after Order 66, I don't think she ever kind of got back into contact with Mace Windu. Yeah, because she was doing her own thing, you know? She was doing her own... She became Fulcrum, and she was helping the rebellion, so no, it wasn't Ahsoka. Good guess, though. Omega. You killed my dad. No, not Omega either. Because she is with the Bad Batch after Order 66, not with Mace. Yeah, so no. Dead Mike, what's up? We're talking Mace Windu's return as Samuel L. Jackson wants it. Yes. Boom. Boom, 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 boom. Grogu. Grogu has become pretty much the face of Star Wars as of late. And he has an enormous gap in his story. It's after Order 66 when Keller and Beck picks him up, saves the day, slices and dices some clone troopers. They hop on a Naboo star cruiser and blast off into hyperspace. Where does he go from there? Is he with Keller and Beck for the next 20 plus years? I don't think so. I feel as though Darth Vader would have hunted him down at that point. Now, when Grogu shows up for the first time in The Mandalorian, he's with pirates. Did someone say pirates? Okay. Skeleton crew? No. Okay. But hang on. Chat, slow down. I'm not saying Mace Windu's going to be in Skeleton Crew, but if you said it, I mean, it wouldn't be that crazy. Okay. Let's...
I got a bad feeling about...
Okay. Nope. Shut up, Han. Okay. He's with pirates. Now, how does he get there? We don't know. We don't know. But there's a possibility. Because Grogu has this huge gap in his story that he could have been off in hiding, training with Mace Windu. When Grogu shows up, he force chokes Cara Dune in Season 1. Force chokes Cara Dune. Not really a move that the Jedi would have trained him. Now, I'm not saying Mace Windu would have trained him in that either, but Mace Windu always sort of had a more dark side to him. He wants to kill Palpatine in Revenge of the Sith, and he's got the purple lightsaber to prove it. But there has to be an explanation as to how Grogu survived that long, where he was, and who was protecting him. You could say Keller and Beck was the whole time, but there's no evidence to suggest that. Now, there's also not really much evidence to suggest that Mace Windu was protecting him either, but I'm just saying, if you're going to bring back Mace Windu, why not connect him to the character that's enormous right now, Grogu, that has a huge hole in the middle of his story, the same time period that Mace Windu would have a huge hole in his story as well. So now, not only could you introduce or reintroduce Mace Windu into the Star Wars story in the Mandoverse, in maybe a Book of Boba Fett Season 2 or Skeleton Crew, and have that connection of him killing Boba Fett's dad, Jango Fett, and have that sort of rivalry going on, but you also have Grogu's connection to Mace Windu. Mace and Grogu. What's up, Alex? How we doing? What do we think, chat? Is it too crazy, or is it just so crazy it might just work? Honestly, I'm still on board the fact that I don't think Mace Windu should return. It would be really cool. It would be really damn cool, okay, chat? It would be cool. Cody is so important. That's true. Commander Cody will be important. I mean, when isn't he? Hope my Tuesday's going good. My Tuesday's going great so far. This stream is off to a bang. Pause. If I do say so myself. Okay. Where was I? Oh, did it just go down to the bottom? No. Oh, here we go. Never mind. We're good. Jack Robin says, if I'm honest, I'm mixed about Mace Windu's return. Never really fond of the character, throughout the franchise, but if he did come back, I don't want it to be like Palpatine. I agree with that. You have to have a well thought out plan if you're going to have this character return. It's the same deal with Palpatine. If you wanted to bring him back, which you could have, you have to have had a better plan for it. I think Palpatine's return someday in the future will make a lot of sense. I think now, more than when it happened in 2019, it already makes more sense. Having read the book Shadow of the Sith, or just learning more about the backstory of Palpatine after Return of the Jedi, but before he returns, that gives you way more information about how it's even possible for him to return, instead of just going, somehow he returned. If there is a explanation to it, unlike there was with Palpatine, then I think it could go over well. And by well, I mean, does anything ever go over well in the Star Wars fandom? No. There's going to be the people who hate it. There's going to be the people who absolutely love it. And there's going to be some people in between. And there's no way around that. But if you give a good enough backstory, you're going to have the majority of people be excited about Mace Windu's return, rather than going, what are you doing? Yeah. So there definitely needs to be a good story for it. Annie K says, I'd rather see pre-Mace Windu's death stories. Well, you are getting those in books and comics. You're just not getting those in live action. Now, if you're going to bring back Samuel L. Jackson, who looks like he hasn't aged a freaking day, I don't know how he's doing it, but he literally looks like he hasn't aged a day, as this was him last night on the Jimmy Fallon show, and this was him as Mace Windu 20 years ago, you might be able to get away with it. The guy doesn't age. But I think fans would like to see him come back and be a part of the news story. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. How does this guy not age? That's insane. Okay. Mando says, I just don't know what the character would add at this stage. Yeah, I mean, the only thing I could think of him adding would be the backstory to Grogu and the being the bad guy of a Book of Boba Fett Season 2. That's about it. Inklet, what's up? That's about it. Those are the only two things I can think of him adding to the story. Because other than that, just bringing him back is just to bring him back. Yeah. Grandmaster says, Teek videos in the Discord. Let me check them out. Let me check them out. Okay. I don't see them. Oh, in the video portion, probably. Yeah, right. Okay. All right, let's look at these. Well, actually, we'll get to these in a second. Okay, we'll stay on Mace for now. We'll circle back to Teek. Okay. All right. Brandon says, I mean, I don't see Mace Windu coming back at all. He should stay dead. I agree with that. I do. But just the image of seeing Mace in live action again, all just maybe he has a metal arm, or maybe he doesn't even have an arm. It's just like half an arm. Like, why does everybody need a metal arm? And he's all bruised, or not bruised probably. He's all scratched up, scarred up, all old man Mace Windu. That would be pretty sick. That would be pretty cool. But I agree with you. It does not make sense for the story, and therefore, no. Yeah. Fearless says, let's just be honest. Samuel L. Jackson has gotten old too. I liked him as Nick Fury, but Windu is out the window. Leave him be. He has gotten old, that's for sure. How old is Samuel L. Jackson anyway? Chat, how old is he? How old is he? He has gotten older, that's for sure, but like we just looked at, he looks the exact same. What? Okay. You guys are crazy. Yeah. Dr. Nico, says, that's why it's a retcon. He played zero part in any of the stories post his death, which means whatever he does can't be known by anyone, or he does nothing to affect the story during all that time. Yeah, he would just have to show up in the Mandoverse, and they would need to explain it. He's only 75? Why did I think he was older than that? Well, he looks pretty good for 75 then, for sure. But going back to this, yeah, obviously he can't play a part in any of the main original trilogy story because that wouldn't make sense. But Grogu doesn't play any part in that story either. Ahsoka doesn't play a part in that story either. Hera Syndulla doesn't play a part in that story either. And yet those characters are still in the Mandoverse, and it makes sense for them to be there. Mace Windu could go down a similar route if he does come back. Yeah. What if Mace Windu had a major head injury and disconnected him from the Force? Well, what if he just had a major head injury that just made him forget who he was? We've never really seen that in Star Wars before. Actually, I take that back. Remember when Darth Maul comes back in the Clone Wars? Savage Opress finds him and he's sort of lost his mind. He's half spider, half Maul, and he's just muttering the Sith code. He's just all over. He's lost his mind. He's going crazy. He's all over the place. What if, because Mace Windu doesn't really have the dark side in him like Maul did, and he also didn't get chopped in half, he just lost an arm. What if the fall sort of made him forget? We've never seen that in Star Wars before, where somebody just forgets everything, or at least in canon Star Wars before, I should say, where everybody just forgets everything, or just he forgets everything, I should say. So Mace Windu would forget everything he thinks he knows and knows he thinks. That'd be pretty wild. That would be pretty wild. Somehow Mace Windu returns. Indeed. Indeed. More Mace? Yes, please. We'll see. Great chat, by the way. Indeed it is, as always. Mace could be the skeleton in Skeleton Crew. Could be. Hope not. Spider Maul? Yes, Spider Maul. Mace could look like a skeleton at that point in lifetime. Pretty handy for the Skeleton Crew. Honestly, chat, how insane would it be if he showed up in Skeleton Crew? If they didn't warn us about it at all, and he just showed up. Like a Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian Season 2. Like Ahsoka in The Mandalorian Season 2. What if they just dropped it without any sort of anything? Just dropped it in there. That would be insane. Stacy says, Mace Windu is the Jason Bourne of Star Wars we need. If he goes out there like Jason Bourne, it would be pretty cool. Yeah, that would be pretty wild. But again, he has to have purpose, you know? There has to be a reason to bring him back, or else you're just doing it for fan service. And this comes back to the conversation we had a few streams ago, where it's what really is fan service? Is fan service just a naturally negative thing? I feel like when people say fan service is more because they're talking about it in a negative connotation. It's not always the case. Like, fan service is Luke Skywalker showing up at The Mandalorian Season 2. But that serves a purpose in the story. So if Mace Windu coming back serves a purpose in the story, then it's fan service, but it's service for story purposes. If he just shows up just because, and there's no real purpose to it, and they're like, oh my God, Mace is back. Yay! Woohoo! That's fan service for in a negative way. Don't cry if he shows up. I'll try my best. I don't think I would. I think I'd just go, let's go. I don't know. I don't know what my reaction would be, honestly. I don't know. Mace could show up as a Force ghost on Peridia with Ahsoka and Sabine. Probably not. I don't think, actually I know, Mace Windu did not learn how to become a Force ghost. He did not go with Yoda to learn that. Yeah. That is true. Who's going to play Mace? Samuel L. Jackson. Okay, let's be honest. You don't need to know everything about a character, especially not Mace Windu. But I really would like to know what happened to Cody. That's what I want to know. Well, Cody, I think they left open-ended for a reason. Especially with the Bad Batch. Like, Cody, Rex, those are characters you will eventually find out the sort of holes in their story. Mace Windu, on the other hand, there will always be a little bit of a mystery to the character, especially if he comes back. But I think you're more so talking about characters like Yoda, where you really don't need to know anything about him, and he's still the GOAT. The Force Dragon, what's up? What is up? Skleen Bean says, only 66% yes, blasphemy. Well, it's now 67%, but I disagree. I would have voted no. I would have voted no. Maybe he forgets that, like Gregor forgets what he was a clone. Gregor forgets he was. Oh yeah. I would love to see him go down the road of relearning who he is. You know? Is anybody watching Agatha? Is anybody? Give me a 1 into the chat if you're watching Agatha. Give me a 2 if you're like, the what now? Who? Is anybody watching Agatha? Spoiler alert for last week's episode. I mean, it's not really that big of a spoiler, but the character that sort of is the main character of the show, the kid, the teenage boy, you learn all about his backstory in that last episode. But you learn that he, to make a long story short, he forgets his past, and he has to relearn who he is. What if something similar happens with Mace Windu, where after his fall, he goes into hiding because maybe somebody finds him and saves him, but then he has to relearn who he is, even though he doesn't remember? That would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool, if I do say so myself. Yeah. Falls are the way to eliminate Jedi? I don't know about that. Head injuries can completely change personalities too. He lost the connection to the Force for some time. He could have forgotten that he knows how to wield the Force because he forgot who he was, and then he slowly relearns that. That would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool. Yeah. You guys are enjoying Agatha? I like Agatha. It's pretty good, but I don't think it's anywhere close to like Loki. Now, here's the thing. Last episode was really good. If it continues on that till the end, then I'll be more satisfied. I feel like the last couple weeks, the trials and stuff just weren't hitting. They weren't what I wanted, you know? I didn't know what I wanted from this Agatha show, but that wasn't it. Until the end of 2 weeks ago and then last week's episode. Then I was like, okay, perfect. But before that, yeah. And it started really strong too. Episode 1 was great. Yeah. It was great. Okay. John Groom says maybe he was taken by the clones after he fell and they kept him they kept in suspended animation until he was found in an abandoned laboratory in Skeleton Crew. You're saying he was put in a Bacta tank? Like Dagon from the Jedi Survivor game? I like that theory quite a bit, if I do say so myself. Somebody finds him, whether it's the clones or somebody else, puts him in a Bacta tank to help heal him from his fall, and they leave him there, abandoned until the Skeleton Crew happens to stumble upon him? That would explain where he was. God Damn it! That's a great story. Oh my God. That would explain where he's been. That would explain his absence in everything. Damn, John. John gets a star of the day for best theory on how Mace Windu could return. Wow. He gets put in a Bacta tank and forgotten about. That's pretty damn cool. I like that quite a bit. If Mace Windu is to return at some point, that's how you do it, chat. That's how you do it. Lucasfilm, if you're watching, and we know that you are, listen up and listen good. Bring back Mace Windu. Yeah, I said it. Bring him back. And you know how you're going to get away with it? You know how you're going to make it so that he wasn't in the events of the original trilogy or anything else before The Mandalorian? You put him in a Bacta tank. You put him in a place where he can't leave until somebody finds him. That's genius, John. Star of the day. Star of the day.
This is where the fun begins.
That's awesome. Okay. Fearless says, I bet somebody found Mace Windu's hand and lightsaber, kept it, and cloned it, and he comes back as a cloned Mace Windu. Evil clone Mace Windu would be pretty cool, too. But that's an interesting one. Maybe not just his hand, but at least the lightsaber. Somebody must have found the lightsaber on Coruscant. That'd be cool to see even just Mace Windu's lightsaber come back. I'd be down for that. I'd be down for that. Samuel L. Jackson's too old. I don't know about that. Especially if he's coming back as an older Mace Windu. I think he's the perfect age. The perfect age. Grogu doesn't have a connection to Mace Windu. Please. I don't know. We'll see about that. When are we getting the Sons of Dathomir animated movie? Probably never. But, I guess never say never. Right? Right, chat? Okay. Chris says, I would like to know what happened during the gap with Grogu, but I don't really want it to be about Mace Windu. Okay, well let's go with John's theory that Mace was put into a Bacta tank for however long, and then they can happen upon him at any moment. Let's go to Grogu then. Grogu leaves during Order 66. I told you guys a couple streams ago, or maybe it was last stream, I just sort of watched the greatest hits of Disney Star Wars, Disney Plus live action Star Wars. I watched like Book of Boba Fett episode 6, From the Desert Comes a Stranger. I watched Ahsoka, the Shadow Warrior episode. I watched Mando season 2 finale, Mando season 2 episode 5, where Ahsoka gets brought in to live action, all that stuff. I watched season 3, where we get to see Grogu's flashback to Order 66 when Keller and Beck saves him. But the big question that remains is, where the hell does Grogu go? How many years is it between Mando season 1 and Order 66? What year does Order 66 take place in? 8 more subscribers till 96? Oh my God, really? Really? I got 14 more. Maybe you're right. I think it's 14 more, but I could be wrong. It's 19 BBY. Okay, so 19 BBY. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, The Mandalorian Season 1, Episode 1 takes place in 9 ABY. Right? So that'll be 28 years. So for 28 years, Grogu is off doing something. We don't know what it is. We don't know who he's with. We don't know how he ends up with the pirates in The Mandalorian Season 1, Episode 1. But that's the only thing we do know, is that Keller and Beck saves him during Order 66. And then 28 years later, he shows up and is saved by Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, when he was captured by some pirates. And the Empire wants him, or the remnant of the Empire wants him. That's all we know. So there's this 28-year gap with Grogu's story. Actually, we do know one other thing. We know that the Empire wants him. And that's pretty big because that means the Empire knows that he's still alive and the Empire knows that he's still there. So in the 28 years, maybe he's captured by the Empire at some point? There's a big gap in Grogu's story that needs to be explained. I wonder if it'll be explained. Actually, the Mandalorian and Grogu movie would be the perfect time to tell that story. That'd be pretty wild. That would be pretty wild. Zuri says, I believe he survived. If only stupid Anakin didn't have to defend Darth Sidious, Mace Windu could have killed the last reaming Sith once and for all. Yeah, I mean, but then the original trilogy wouldn't happen. And the original trilogy happened first, so he kind of had to do that. He had to fall to the dark side. Yeah. The Force Dragon says, if Mace comes back, they should make a show about his life and then see if people want him to come back or not. Oh, people want him to come back. That's for sure. I mean, 68% of you guys in the chat right now want him to come back. It's not, I mean, a lot of fans want him to come back. That's clear. It's more a question of will he and can they explain it? Yeah. John says, Palpatine was in a clone body, though, even though the movie didn't actually explain that. Yes, true. You really have to do your own homework to learn how Palpatine could have possibly survived in Rise of Skywalker, which is not the way it should be. They should be able to explain it in the movie or in the project. Yeah. Grogu forgot a lot about the basic trainings, though. So he couldn't have had a Jedi with him for some time before using Force Choke. Him using Force Choke is plausibly due to the captivity and dark side being a quick access to power. Yeah, that's true. He is very disconnected from the Force when we first meet him. And actually, Ahsoka talks about that too when she meets him. So yeah, maybe he wasn't with Mace. You're right. Well, that's okay, because we moved on from that theory anyway. Mando says, I really can't see him with Grogu because he would never have let those pirates take Grogu unless Mace died in a fight or some other way. Yeah, the big problem with bringing him back is you're going to have to kill him again. So you're going to just bring back Samuel L. Jackson to be Mace Windu. You're going to bring back the legendary character of Mace Windu just to kill him off again? At that point, what's the point? If he's just going to come back for one last sort of fun battle, what's the point? I'm trying to think of an example of anything else we've ever seen like that in Star Wars, and there just isn't one. When they bring back a character, they bring him back for good. That's sort of the same reason they didn't bring back Teek in the Bad Batch either. If Teek was the clone assassin in the Bad Batch that we talked about a million times over again, then he would have died. And we would have watched Teek die twice. And this time he would have come back as the villain and died as the villain. So maybe you're right. Maybe Mace shouldn't come back because he can't live. And then he'd just be dying twice. Anthony, what's up, Anthony? Says, Mike, I absolutely do not want Mace Windu to return. He's dead. Anakin and Palpatine killed him. He's the entranceway to Anakin's fall. The dark side. Lucas decided. Well, he still can be Anakin's entranceway to the dark side of the Force and survive. Like that one doesn't change the other, you know? Lord Vader in the chat, what's up? Says, no, he's alive. Okay. Imagine just Lord Vader just started force choking me through the screen. No, I'm kidding. John says, The Rise of Skywalker could have been a better movie if it had been 4 hours long, slowed the pace slightly, and explained more about how Palpatine returned. I agree with that. I think Rise of Skywalker's fault is that it's too fast-paced and too short. It honestly feels like they tried to jam-pack an entire trilogy into one movie. If The Rise of Skywalker was split into 3 movies, then it probably would have worked a little bit better. Yeah. I want to know more about Obi-Wan's long-lost brother. Well, Obi-Wan's brother he only knew when he was a baby, like a child. So I don't really know if that will ever get explored much. It'll be cool, though. What if Mace helps Luke and the others defeat Abeloth using Vapod? It's Vapod, right? Not Vapad. Vapod. But ends up dying in the fight. Well, there you go again. Like, we're just going to bring him back just to kill him off? What's the point in that? Your mom jokes? Really, Chad? Really? Michael B. Jordan should play Mace? Well, why would you do that when you have Samuel L. Jackson already there for you? Surely Mace would be like 90 now? Well, how old is he when he died? How old was... Well, let's look it up. How old was Mace Windu when he died? He was 53 when he died, and we just did the math. It's 28 years later, 30 years. We'll just round up to be generous. He would be 83. He'd be 83. So, yeah, it wouldn't be that far off from what Samuel L. Jackson actually is today. 75. Yeah. Wait, what the heck? What's going on here? Wait a minute. You guys remember all the Family Guy Star Wars specials? They had they had on Star Wars. Wait, what? Star Wars specials that they had on Star Wars? Yes. Maybe. Why? Yes, I completely agree. The Rise of Skywalker tried to tackle too much in too little time. Yeah, it really did. Absolutely. Absolutely. If he does come back just to die, you could give him the ability to become a Force ghost in the meantime. Yeah, but then what? Why? You know, like, what's he gonna do as a Force ghost? Honestly, let's talk. It's real talk time, chat. Let's talk the real talk, shall we? What do Force ghosts really do in Star Wars? Other than the cool little light blue, glowy, ghost-looking characters, what do they do? Obi-Wan helps out Luke Skywalker a little bit in A New Hope, tells him to just use the Force. And then in Empire, he tells him to go visit Yoda. That's it. Then Yoda becomes a Force ghost, and so does his dad, Anakin, and they just smile at him from the trees on Endor. After that, they're gone. They don't help him out at all after that. Never. Anakin's Force ghost smiles at Ahsoka in the Ahsoka show. That's it. Even fast forward to the Rise of Skywalker. Obi-Wan. Not Obi-Wan, because he never comes back. He never comes back. Luke and Leia just smile at Rey on Tatooine. What's the point of becoming a Force ghost? I'm serious, chat. I'm serious. I feel like it's such a cool ability that's underutilized. I want to see Anakin and Luke have a conversation, Force Ghost Anakin, with his son, helping him guide his way with his new Jedi Order. Or Obi-Wan. Why does Obi-Wan just use the Force, Luke? Okay, bye. Go visit Yoda, Luke. Okay, bye. Why doesn't he stick around and help out a little bit? Where does he go? And then Yoda takes 30 years off and appears in The Last Jedi just to strike down the sacred texts, which, guess what, didn't even get destroyed. What's the deal with Force ghosts? Chat? Anybody? While you're at it, can I get some good cups full of orders in the chat, please? Bum-ba. We're getting so close, chat. We're about to hit 96,000 subscribers. And of course, at 100, this whole cup of water will be dumped on my head. Hopefully filled with blue milk if we're lucky. But we'll see about that. We'll see about that. If they don't utilize Mace and Samuel L. Jackson, that would be the biggest missed opportunity. Truly one of the greatest actors to grace Hollywood. I agree that Samuel L. Jackson is one of the greatest actors in Hollywood, but we already got his character in Star Wars. Sam played the character in the 3 prequel trilogy movies, but we also got Mace Windu for 7 seasons of the Clone Wars. We've gotten that character quite a bit. Now, I'm not saying I don't want more of him, but we've already been graced with that great opportunity, you know? Mace says, I might be back later, but I'm going to head out now. I appreciate it, Mace. Don't worry about it. Mace can be a Force ghost. Anakin didn't learn the ability until he died in Return of the Jedi. That is a plot hole that was fixed, yes. In the books, at least, it's explained that Obi-Wan goes to Anakin while he's dying and says, look, you got to listen to me or you're going to be gone forever. And then he helps him become a Force ghost. I don't think the same really happened with Mace Windu. But, yeah, could be. Samuel L. Jackson's favorite character he's ever played in a movie is Mace Windu. He's so eager to go back. Oh, yeah. When you watch him talk about it, he really, 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 really wants to come back. That's clear. He wants to play Mace Windu again. But I don't know if it'll happen. Yeah. The original Star Wars A New Hope in 1977 is the reason that Samuel L. Jackson got into acting in the first place. Really? I actually didn't know that. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. John Groom says, was going to mention Yoda in Rebels, but he's not dead at that point. LOL. Exactly. When Yoda appears to Ezra Bridger, he's not dead. He's on Dagobah. Force ghosts are no use. Exactly! It's kind of weird when you think about it, because Force Ghost is like the ultimate power. Like, you become a Force Ghost. You can live on forever. And yet, it just doesn't get used at all. It's almost something that was created by George Lucas when he really didn't have a way to make it powerful or at least affect the story that much, you know? I don't know. It's interesting. I wonder how Force Ghosts, because there's so much mystery about Force Ghosts and what their abilities are, how, like, Luke is able to grab the lightsaber out of midair when he's a Force Ghost in Rise of Skywalker. How effective and how helpful can a Force Ghost actually be, you know? I really thought Mace Windu was dead after episode 3. Wasn't he shocked and fell to his death? Well, yeah. So we think. Yeah. Your pal Joe, what is up? What is your opinion on the dyad and how powerful it could be? How powerful it could be at its fullest power? Yeah, I actually liked the dyad of the Force. I thought it was a very cool introduction or like new aspect to the canon of Star Wars when it happened in the Rise of Skywalker. However, it actually did a good job of explaining why Rey and Kylo were so connected in the Force throughout the entire trilogy. I thought it was a good plot device. But it's not really something that's been around the whole time. And they're trying to... There's something flying around in there. They're trying to make it... Oh, damn. They're trying to make it so that the rule of 2 was put into place all for the... Just the Sith to try and make a dyad in the Force. But that's not why the rule of 2 was put into place, at least in Legends and how it always has been. It would be a pretty big change for the canon of Star Wars if the rule of 2 was put into place to try to create a Force dyad. But, and I don't think a lot of people would like it. However, I will say the concept of the dyad of the Force is really, really cool. Two beings so interconnected and powerful when together, like that is something that's really cool. Yeah. And the fact that one's a Palpatine and one's a Skywalker makes it even cooler. Yeah. Well, Anakin's Force Ghost brought Ahsoka back to life. True to an extent. Anakin is not a Force ghost in the World Between Worlds. Now, there's a lot of mystery about what the World Between Worlds is and how it works and all that stuff, which we can only speculate about. But from what Palpatine explains it to be, it's a conduit between the living and the dead. So Anakin, although he is dead, is able to exist in the World Between Worlds. Ahsoka, although she's technically alive, Ezra's alive when he enters it, is able to be inside the World Between Worlds. So it's a conduit between the living and the dead. And Anakin sort of just gives Ahsoka a final lesson. Yeah. There's a lot of mystery around that World Between Worlds, though, so that's a good point. Yeah. Force ghosts are a plot device in universe that just make that are just moral support. They are, but I feel like they should be so much more. I feel like the Force ghost for a Jedi should be the ultimate ability, the ultimate live forever type deal. Yeah. John Groom says something else that's underutilized is Morai. The bird could do some amazing things. Imagine a phoenix-looking owl with amazing Force abilities. Yeah. I don't know if she has amazing Force abilities like that, but she is underutilized. The first time we see her in live action, you could argue the second time, but the first time we see her in live action is on Peridia. And Ahsoka is actually surprised to see her there too. Ahsoka is the living embodiment of the light side of the Force. She's the daughter, and that should be something that's more utilized as well. Yeah. Wasn't Anakin in a comic and protecting Luke when he was attacked by Sith spirits? Yes and no. That's in a book. It's in actually Shadow of the Sith. The book that's behind me there. It is in that book, but that's not a Force ghost of Anakin. Luke is sitting on the Seeing Stone on Tython, very similar to how Grogu does the same. But he gets transported to Exegol in a Force vision, and he's surrounded by these Sith entities, or whatever you want to call them, spirits, sure. And they're about to strike him down, and Anakin's lightsaber stops the blow. So it's all sort of a Force vision type deal. Yeah. Tony, I think your countdown is actually fast. Yeah, mine still says 12 to go. I don't know. I don't think we're going to hit this stream, but that's okay. That's okay. Can't rush greatness. Chataloco says, Yoda talked to Ahsoka and Ezra in Rebels, which gave them direction. That's true, but Yoda's not dead there. Yoda's still alive on Dagobah in that scene. Yeah. Force Ghosts used to be more involved, but later they just became fan service. I mean, not really. From the original Force Ghost, Obi-Wan Kenobi, he doesn't do much. He just says, use the Force, Luke. He uses the Force, destroys the Death Star. That's it. And then in the second movie, he tells him to go visit Yoda. That's it. Yoda becomes a Force Ghost, and all he does is look at Luke on Endor. That's it. He just looks at him. You know? Mace Windu must have got a crash course in Force Ghost abilities on his way down. Probably not. Probably not. But maybe. Also, did anyone notice that Yoda used Force Lightning, a dark side ability, to destroy the tree that those sacred texts were in? I don't know if he used Force Lightning as much as he controlled the weather, but yeah. Yeah. Mike, don't swat that fly. It could have been Mace Windu reincarnated. Well, good thing I didn't catch it then. It also left. I don't know. It's gone. I think I scared it away. Yeah. Your pal Joe says, the Clone Wars arc for Yoda at the very end of the series explains a lot to me. Yeah, and that's him learning how to become a Force Ghost. And it did explain a lot of the journey that he goes on, talking to the Wills, talking to Darth Bane, all that stuff. But even still, it leaves us with so much mystery as to what happens after. Like, where do these Force ghosts go? Why is Obi-Wan not just a prominent hero in the original trilogy, in the sequel trilogy, and the Mandoverse? Like, where do they go? You know? Yeah. Wasn't Palpatine and Plagueis trying to create a dyad in the Force when they created Anakin? No. In the Plagueis Legends book, when they're trying to create this all-powerful dark side entity, and then the Force sort of combats that and creates Anakin, they're not trying to create a dyad, no. No, they are not. I think the rule of two can serve both purposes, to keep the Sith from getting more to get more powerful. And imagine if Palpatine and Anakin became a dyad, the Sith would have won. Well, the Sith did win. I mean, they didn't obviously win in the end, but they did win for about 30 years, controlling the entire galaxy. Yeah. Wait, don't we hear Mace Windu's voice at the end speaking to Rey at the end of The Rise of Skywalker with Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, Luke, Anakin, and maybe Qui-Gon? We hear a lot more than just those characters. They're not all characters that became Force ghosts. We hear Kanan Jarrus. We hear... Who else do we hear? All the Jedi Rey hears. There you go. Every Jedi cameo's voice in Rise of Skywalker and what they said. Here we go. So Obi-Wan said, "These are your final steps, Rey. Rise and take them." Rey, rise. Anakin said, "Rey, bring balance to the Force as I did. The Force surrounds you, Rey. Let it lift you." Ahsoka Tano said, "Rey." Nice. Short and sweet. Kanan Jarrus also said, "Rey. In the heart of the Jedi lies their strength." Luminara, nice. Master Luminara says, "The light will find the light, Rey." Qui-Gon Jinn, "Every Jedi who ever lived lives in you. We stand beside you, Rey, rise." Ayla Secura, nice, says, let it guide you." Mace Windu says, "Feel the Force flowing through you." Adi says, "Rise, Rey." Yoda says, "Rise in the Force, Rey." Luke Skywalker says, "Rey, the Force will be with you always." Oh, that's it? That's an interesting group of Jedi, not gonna lie. Because you got some, like, obviously the big ones, Anakin, Mace Windu, Yoda, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan. But then you got Kanan, which is interesting. Ahsoka, which is interesting, because neither of them have any connection to Rey, at least as far as we know. Then you got Luminara and Ayla Secura, but you don't have other Jedi like Plo Koon or Ki-Adi-Mundi. You know? I wonder how they chose those specific Jedi. It's weird. Or Yaddle, for that matter. Interesting. But yeah, it's not just Jedi who became Force ghosts. Yeah. Tony, I think your countdown is off. I mean, maybe it's not. Maybe mine is, but I think it's off. Okay. All right. Should we watch these Teek videos? We got some pretty funny Teek videos in the Discord, thanks to Grandmaster. Let's watch these, shall we? So this is the character that is returning in Skeleton Crew, okay? This is the return of the Teek in Skeleton Crew, coming on December 3rd in 43 days, is it? 42 days, something like that? 42 days, something like that. Skeleton Crew comes out in 42 days on December 3rd. And then we get the return of a character that hasn't been seen for 40 years. 39, but either way. Wait. He's the Flash? We got the Flash in Star Wars now? We got the Flash in Star Wars. honestly, this might sound crazy. This might get me more excited for Skeleton Crew than any other news we've received so far. We're getting the Flash in Star Wars. And it might be the most handsome looking character in the whole galaxy.
Teek, now I told you to slow down. We're getting close now.
So this guy is going to be in Skeleton Crew. Teek and Neil, exactly. We got another video. Yeah, Dobby, kind of like Dobby. Kind of like Dobby. All right, let's watch this other video we got too.
I'm going over to that stove and get me some more soup. Whatever you do, you stay right where you are.
Thank you.
You are hungry.
I think I have to watch this movie. Where's this footage from? This is from the Battle of the Ewok movie on Disney Plus called Ewok Movie Battle of Endor. There's two Ewok movies. One came out in 1984. One came out in 1985. The Caravan of Courage and the Battle of Endor. They're made by George Lucas in Lucasfilm, but they're TV films made for films made for TV, just like the holiday special was too. So they saw the holiday special and they saw how great of a success it was, and they made Ewok movies after Return of the Jedi. But this character of Teek is returning in Skeleton Crew.
Whatever you do, you stay right where you are.
This is pretty wild. Honestly, I don't know how this is going to go because the Teek, let's learn a little bit more about the Teek, shall we? Let's learn a little bit. Star Wars' next TV show is returning a classic Return of the Jedi planet. Possibly. The Teek is from Endor. So a new detail from Star Wars' next TV show, Skeleton Crew, hints that the adventure could take them back to a key planet from Return of the Jedi. Though much of Skeleton Crew's story is still a mystery, various hints from both the Skeleton Crew trailer and from the words of its creators have pointed towards the TV show acting as the ultimate coming-of-age Star Wars story, particularly evoking those of the 1980s, describing it as an Amblin entertainment kind of story. Skeleton Crew's characters will be struggling to survive alone while lost in the dangerous galaxy. Naturally, these callbacks to the 1980s bring the Star Wars original trilogy to mind, given the fact that 2 of its 3 movies were released in the 80s. Seeing that Skeleton Crew's timeline is set in the Mandoverse era, which is just about 5 years after the events of Return of the Jedi, there are even more dots to connect between the TV show and these movies. Now, a brand new connection hints that the Skeleton Crew will be taking things further by bringing audiences back to a familiar planet, the forest moon of Endor. The Teek will be featured in Skeleton Crew. The Teek right there, of course. David Lowery is Skeleton Crew. We talked about this already. The Teek will be coming back. Has a unique super speed ability. How that will play into this show, I have no idea. But we're about to find out. This reveal is not is thrilling, not only because it brings back the element of Wicket's spin-off movies, but also because it's teasing the potential return of the Forest Moon of Endor itself. All while progressively making more Star Wars Legends elements canon once again. So we've seen Legends elements of Star Wars come into canon a lot, especially recently with Grand Admiral Thrawn and all this Heir to the Empire stuff. But in the future, we're hoping to see Legends aspects like the Old Republic and Dawn of the Jedi come into canon as well. So this is just another step in that direction. But the Ewok movies are Legends for now, until they're not. But the Forest Moon of Endor is the perfect place to return to. We talked about how a lot of the original trilogy planets, from Endor, Hoth, what other planet is in the original trilogy that we haven't been back to? I'm blanking on them, but somebody tell me in the chat. Oh, Bespin. Have we been back to Bespin? No. Bespin, Hoth, Endor. There's got to be more. But these are original trilogy planets that we haven't been back to ever since they appeared for the first time in Star Wars. Endor is in Andor? Oh, Endor, the new Andor. Ha, funny. You almost got me. Okay. But we haven't been back to these planets, even though they're very iconic planets from the original trilogy. However, another original trilogy planet might be coming back to the Star Wars galaxy in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, as the teaser trailer that was shown to the people at San Diego Comic-Con, was it? I think so. Or D23, was it? Might have been D23. Wherever the Mandalorian and Grogu teaser trailer was released, we saw a snowy planet that fans think to be Hoth. So, if Hoth is coming back in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, then it might not be that crazy that Endor is making a return in Skeleton Crew. Now, Endor, of course, being this forest planet where the rebels celebrate with the Ewoks, fight back against the Empire, Ewok hunt in Battlefront 2. Nice. And, of course, the Ewoks there. But the Forest Moon of Endor is one of the most well-known Star Wars planets. But despite that, it hasn't been returned to live-action Star Wars, at least not in recent years. The original trilogy planet most often visited is Tatooine, which is the home of both Book of Boba Fett and the Obi-Wan Kenobi's main story. The Forest Moon of Endor is the perfect option to bring back an appropriate sense of the original trilogy nostalgia in a fresh way, allowing viewers to revisit the iconic planet, if only for a short while. Returning to the Forest Moon of Endor would also make Skeleton Crew even more of an ode to the Ewok story of old. They have certainly been lost in the high tide of Star Wars stories over the years. I'm a massive Star Wars fan, and I haven't even watched these Ewok movies. So clearly they've been lost in translation. But especially when Star Wars Legends was separated from the official Star Wars canon, seeing Skeleton Crew as seeking to elevate its connections to the 1980s, including the Forest Moon of Endor as Return of the Jedi, is both an exciting and smart option. Very smart. Again, so little that we know about the Skeleton Crew show leads to very little views and fans not knowing what to expect. Okay, what's up? But if you're going to introduce Endor, bring back maybe Ewoks, bring back characters like Teek that very, very hardcore fans are going to know, but bring back very familiar faces, familiar planets like Endor, then you're going to bring some Star Wars fans back and bring them in to watch your show. Skeleton Crew needs that. They need characters like Hondo Unakas, Maz Kanata's, Omegas, Cal Kestis's to bring the attention to the show. It's not going to go over well if it's just this adventure with these kids. Unless it does, which would be a surprise to me. It needs a hook. And that hook could be Endor. It could be Hondo Unaka. It could be something else. But I guess only time will tell. What we do know is Teek is coming back. And Endor might be coming too. Which is pretty cool because we haven't been to Endor in live action since 1983. Which is wild. Yeah. Yeah. Plus, who doesn't want to see this in live action? Who doesn't want to see this? We're getting Ewoks and Skeleton Crew. Well, Ewoks haven't been confirmed, but the Ewok's friend and also native to Endor, the Teek, is going to be in it. And Jawas, yes. We know for a fact Jawas will be in it as well. Jawas are in the trailer. Jawas are indeed in the trailer. Yeah, okay. What's the name of the film? It's called The Battle of Endor. It should be on Disney Plus. You can probably find it. Just look up Ewoks. It'll come up. Question. If Skeleton Crew goes to Endor, how can they be lost? Well, if their home planet isn't Endor, then they'll be pretty lost. You know? Yeah, no? Actually, this brings up a good point. We watched a... Where is it? There was a teaser trailer that was released to Star Wars Celebration. Like, I don't know, over a year and a half ago. We watched it last stream, I think, or 2 streams ago. And I think the Teek might be in that trailer. Where the hell is this? Oh, wait, I think it's in here. I think it's in here. Ah, yes, here we go. Okay. So we watched this last stream, but this is the teaser trailer that was released at Star Wars Celebration a million years ago in 2023. And we get to actually see the Teek in this trailer, I believe, if I'm correct here. No. 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 Oh, yeah, here we go. I think that could be him. I mean, let's see. Oh, whoops, wrong. What do we think, chat? This, look at the ears. Look at how short he is. Could this be him? I mean, who else would it be, right? So it looks like, if we use our context clues here, they're going to be captured by pirates or wherever this is. But this actually looks like a different scene entirely. Maybe not. This looks like an ice planet or something. It looks like they're either being captured by somebody or they are going somewhere. I really don't know. And then that looks like our boy Teek. I don't know. Maybe. Actually looks like 2 separate scenes. Might be some trailer magic, Jet. Because we don't see that blue stuff here. Or we see it there and we don't see it here. Either way, the Teek will be in Skeleton Crew. And maybe that's him, maybe it's not. But we'll eventually find out. Honestly, chat, the more information we get with this show, the less I understand. I don't get it. Okay? I don't get it. I don't know what this show is going to be about. How the hell does a character like the Teek fit into any of this? Honestly. I don't know. It'll be very interesting to see what the hell this Skeleton Crew show is all about. That's for sure. That is for sure. Okay. Let's talk about this, shall we? We do have some other Star Wars news to talk about. One has to do with the CEO of Disney himself, Bob Iger, and how he will be replaced semi-soon. So let's talk about this first, okay? So Bob Iger, we talked about this in past streams, but I'll recap it really quickly. So Bob Iger was the CEO of Disney for something like 15 years, probably more. I don't really remember. But he retires. He just becomes a board member. He doesn't want to do the CEO job anymore. And this is right before the pandemic happened. And he gives his seat, or the next CEO is Bob Chapek. And Bob Chapek does not do a great job. So much so that he gets taken out of office or taken out of the position. And Bob Iger comes back to be CEO of Disney again. And that was about in 2021 or 2022. And for the last 2 years, Bob Iger has been, yes, that's true. The Forest Moon of Endor was at the end of Rise of Skywalker. My apologies. It is briefly when they're celebrating across the galaxy. My bad. But going back to this, Bob Iger has been the CEO of Disney ever since, and he will be the CEO of Disney until, yes, somehow Bob returned, until 2026, as this is the breaking news. Disney says it will name CEO Bob Iger's second successor in 2026. Walt Disney said it would announce another replacement for CEO Bob Iger in early 2026 and named a veteran of Morgan Stanley as board chair on Monday, for the first time announcing a timetable for succession at the storied media and entertainment company. James Gorman will step down as executive chair, and Morgan Stanley at the end of 2024 will take his position at Disney in January. He had served as CEO of Wall Street Bank for 14 years, Jesus, and credited with transforming it into a wealth management powerhouse. So the guy who was CEO of Wall Street Bank is now coming over to Disney for their role of the board chair, not CEO, but board chair. Dominic, what's up? Anakin, how we doing? Iger stepped down as CEO, and here we go. Here's the backstory of Disney in 2020. After 15 years, boom, I sniped that, serving as executive chair for another year. However, in late 2022, Disney's board dismissed Iger's appointed successor, Bob Chapek, and requested Iger's return. Investors criticized both men for the turmoil and a series of negative earnings reports. I mean, you could say it was their fault, but there was a lot of other things to go with that, with the pandy and all that other stuff. Yeah. But they got a lot of negative earning reports, blah, blah, blah. Leading to the battle was activist investors. Iger's current contract with Disney is to expire in 2026. So he'll be replaced in 2026. Yeah. No word of who will be the next CEO of Disney, but somebody will. So if you're a fan of Bob Iger, if you're not a fan of Bob Iger, he'll be gone in 2026. There was something else I wanted to get to here. Where was this? No. Oh, yeah, here we go. Okay, so this is talking about prequels to prequels, talking about the Acolyte and how it can still possibly be alive for some people holding out hope for an Acolyte Season 2. But let's read this, shall we? So this was posted yesterday, I believe. Yeah. Star Wars is doubling down on its High Republic era. Let's read this. The Acolyte was Star Wars' first live-action foray into this High Republic era, an era set centuries before the prequel trilogy and had previously been confined to the books and comics. Give me a 1 into the chat if you're reading the High Republic stuff. Books, comics, anything. Give me a 2 if you're like, nah, I haven't touched any of that, Mike. I've read all Phase 1, but I have not started Phase 2 yet. Yeah. And I've read Phase 1 like a million years ago, it feels like now. Yeah. Okay, but The Acolyte was the first live-action sort of entrance into that era. It shows the Jedi at their peak as they served as peacekeepers around the galaxy and weren't being withered by conflict and Sith machinations. So the Sith aren't around during this time period, because 1,000 years ago, Darth Bane put in the rule of 2 and the Sith go into hiding. The Acolyte even showed the live-action debut of Venestra Rowe, a key character in those High Republic books. But now the Acolyte has been canceled. The High Republic era is returning to where it started, comics and books. However, it will be picking up the torch that the Acolyte had dropped and taking on a bigger role in the franchise. At New York Comic-Con over this past weekend was New York Comic-Con. Lucasfilm Publishing announced a slew of new books, most of which centered on the High Republic and prequel eras. There's a graphic novel about the young Qui-Gon Jinn, the Bad Batch prequel comic, a giant, High Republic wedding spectacular, and most exciting announcements were the ones that straddled both spots on the timeline, For example, the graphic novel Star Wars Hyperspace Stories of Qui-Gon Jinn, slated for March 4th of next year, will follow Qui-Gon's both of his Padawans, both as a Padawan under Count Dooku and a master teaching Obi-Wan Kenobi. In both storylines, Qui-Gon encounters the Brotherhood of the Ninth Door, a dark side religion sect featured in High Republic adventures. Another comic series, Jedi Knights, will take place before the prequel trilogy, but after the High Republic era, providing an opportunity for a crossover between two periods. This is pretty cool. Qui-Gon Jinn, you want more stories with Qui-Gon? You can get him as an apprentice under Dooku and a master on Qui-Gon, on Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah. Elsewhere, characters seen in The Acolyte will live on in the books. Wayseeker, which is Justina Ireland's novel about Venestra Rowe, is slated for May 2025's release. And Tessa Gratton's young adult novel, The Crystal Crown, will follow Jecki and Yord in the days before they fell victim to Chimere. Oh, damn. So the days before they die is when that book will take place. Even Kelnaka, the Wookiee Jedi we met in The Acolyte, is getting his own one-shot comic series. So for those of you who are Acolyte fans, you still get your fair share of Acolyte content. It just won't be happening in the form of a season 2. Is The Acolyte before the Clone Wars? Yes. Indeed it is. Just give us more Chimere. Yeah, none of this has Chimere in it. It's a book about Venestra Rowe. It's a book about Jecki and Yord. It's comics about Kelnaka. No Chimere in sight. Now, there must be some sort of Chimere going on somewhere, but we'll have to wait and see, I guess. But it's probably in development right now. The High Republic may have had a fumbled introduction into the main Star Wars fandom, but the Acolyte still increased awareness of the era. In this post-Acolyte world, the books can fill the gaps that were previously a disconnected story and make them a key part of the entire Star Wars timeline. So even though the Acolyte is on paper a failure and it got canceled for a second season, it still allows more access to the High Republic novels and books and continuous development between the connection between the prequel trilogy and the High Republic era. So for those Acolyte fans hoping for more story, there is more story coming in that time period, both after with Qui-Gon Jinn in the post-High Republic era and during that same era with prequel novels and comics as well. So it's not the season 2 you hoped for, but it is content nonetheless. Yeah. And of course, we know for a fact that the Acolyte is quite the divided conversation. For sure. Actually, I want to show you guys this. This is pretty funny. I saw this on Instagram the other day, and it's very spot on. And the caption is Star Wars fans, quote unquote, if Star Wars released today. Now, we talk about this all the time. The Star Wars fandom is in such a weird place now. It's so divided, it's insane. Not just the Acolyte, but with every project that's ever come out, from Endor to Book of Beta Fett to anything, honestly, The Last Jedi and the sequel trilogy alike. But is that just because of the content we're getting with Endor and all that stuff? Or is it because the Star Wars fandom is always just looking for something to complain about? Now, it does go both ways, absolutely. But this is hilarious, and I want to show you guys. So let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at this, shall we? Wait, what the heck? Can I zoom in on this? Yes, I can. Okay. All right, let's look at this. Okay.
Oh,
Boom, got it. All right, let's watch this. So it says, Star Wars fans, if Star Wars was released today, part 6, actually, I haven't watched the first 5 parts, but let's watch this.
cool. A cliffhanger ending. Can't even finish your own story. A second Death Star? A second Death... Come on. Luke, supposed trained Force user, can't tell he's standing on top of a trap door. Okay, I'm gonna go on a quick 6-minute rant on why this doesn't make sense and why I can't move past it. It's an old code, but it will do. What does that even mean? Look, these red guards just don't look or feel like Star Wars to me. There is a very specific aesthetic that Star Wars has built up over time in my head. Environmentalism messages in Star Wars. These movies were never made to have such pointed political message. Is that a fire? In space? There he goes, just thrown over the railing, the big evil guy. I wanted to know every detail about his backstory for some... Oh, cool.
So you get the point. You get the gist. It's exactly what's going on right now today, and it would have gone down the same way if that's what came out today. It's just honestly hilarious because when you look at the comment section, which we will right now, it's all people talking about the Acolyte. Never once in this video we just watched is the Acolyte mentioned or anything like that. Gotta follow. Yeah, he definitely deserves a follow. That's my fault. I thought I was already following him. There you go. But never once was the Acolyte mentioned or even referred to. It's talking about only the original trilogy. But if you look at the comment section here, scroll over. I don't give a shit about the Acolyte. Find a new thing to say. Oh, sorry. That's himself. Jeez, sorry. Okay. Acolyte fans are coping and seeing this so hard right now. Disney haters standing here like Star Wars fandom didn't send a child. Oh, okay. Acolyte fans, if they exist, remind me of people who say, well, you're not the intended audience, are you? And criticize any music they like. It's just funny because, well, they go into that stuff. But they almost all are just about the Acolyte. Well, some of them are common sense people, but Acolyte, of course. Acolyte. Fire in Space. The Fire in Space one's really funny because they complained about that one for the Acolyte too when it's in Return of the Jedi, which is absolutely insane. Lee, what's up? It's really funny. But let's watch this again because it's funny.
A cliffhanger ending. Can't even finish your own
A cliffhanger ending. Can't even finish your own story. Remind you of something?
story. A second Death Star? A second Death...
So, the sequel trilogy, the Force Awakens particularly, got a lot of shit for the Starkiller base. Jeez, couldn't even remember its name. The Starkiller base, because it was so similar to the Death Star. It's almost as if they forget that there was a second Death Star 2 movies later.
Come on. Luke, supposed trained Force user, can't tell he's standing on top of a trap door. Okay, I'm gonna go on a quick 6-minute rant on why this doesn't make sense and why I can't move past it. It's an old code, but it will do. What does that even mean? Look, these red guards just don't look or feel like Star Wars to me. There is a very specific aesthetic that Star Wars has built up over time in my head. Environmentalism messages in Star Wars. These movies were never made to have such pointed political message. Is that
one gets me the most. These political messages in Star Wars.
a fire?
So you get the point. Obviously, it's sort of geared towards the now of the Star Wars fandom and how everybody complains about everything. But it's not just pointed towards the Acolyte specifically. It's not just pointed towards one specific thing. It's everything. Because yes, the Acolyte got a lot of shit and people liked it or they didn't. But it's not just the Acolyte. It's every project that's come out over the last decade at least. From The Last Jedi to now, over a decade at least. So it's just funny because obviously that's things that are being said right now. Fire in Star Wars. Doesn't look like Star Wars. Doesn't feel like Star Wars. But that's what the original trilogy was because Star Wars is Star Wars. It's the exact same thing. They're introducing new aspects in the original trilogy, and it was Star Wars then, and they're introducing new aspects now into Star Wars, and it's Star Wars now. It's funny. But in other funny video news, the internet is a crazy place, chat. It's a crazy place. It's so funny. Oh, it's so awesome. Yeah, so there you go.
This is where the fun begins.
That's so good. That's so good. C-3PO's head got sold out already in Disney and I missed it? Oh, what? They sold out already? That's crazy. How'd they sell out so fast? Didn't they just get released? Wait, for real? They sold out? Sold out? Oh, shit. Hang on. There was something else I wanted to get to. I knew there was. I always forget something during these live streams. Oh, here we go. So, coming up on November 8th, coming up on November 8th in 2024, this year, is D23 Brazil. So, D23 earlier this year was, I guess, D23 United States, I guess. I don't even know. But there's a D23 Brazil. And the current reports are saying that the Mandalorian and Grogu will have a presence at D23 Brazil come November 8th. So I don't know what that means. Will there be a trailer? Maybe. Maybe some more information towards it. Possibly. I don't know. But for now, it will have some sort of presence at D23. And going back to the conversation we had on Saturday about John Boyega and possibly him coming back to Star Wars, he posted this on his Twitter. So this is him signing an autograph of a Rise of Skywalker poster, and he was at New York Comic-Con over the weekend, and he tweeted this: "Great day at New York Comic-Con. Reuniting with Star Wars fans was brilliant. The banter, fun, and real talk. You continuously make me feel like a big deal. Obviously, Star Wars fans love their, most Star Wars fans love their actors and love to see them succeed and love to give them love. So I think John Boyega kind of got that here when he was at New York Comic-Con. And it's pretty cool to see that he's back sort of under the Star Wars title and feeling the love, you know? So I'm hoping that this is sort of his return and people getting hyped up for his return, but we'll see. It's a hope for people who want to see him in the Rey movie for sure. Yeah. Just found some more Skeleton Crew characters. Yuzum, Diluc, Gorax, and Whistly. Where are you finding that? Yeah. Catherine, what's up? Catherine says, Mace is stunned by the fall. He wakes up in an alley, injured, naked and injured. What? With no memory. He becomes a street rat. For 20 years, he tries to recover his memory. Someone from the path discovers him. Why does he gotta be naked? Why you gotta be naked? Yeah, it's good to see John Boyega getting the love for sure. And hopefully this means a return for him as well. Indeed. So, with that, let me end this poll. Possibly seeing Mace Windu return if Samuel L. Jackson has anything to say about it. And also, 67% of you guys want him to come back as well. So if the fans have anything to say about it, then yes, he will come back too. But also the return of Teek in Skeleton Crew from the Ewok movie from 1984. The Flash in Star Wars. That's pretty cool as well. And yeah. I'm going to get on out of here. You guys, the absolute best. What a crazy day for Star Wars news. The return of two legends, Mace Windu and Teek. I don't even know who's better. Probably Teek. But I appreciate it. I really, really do. Shout out to all you guys. Let's see. Did we make it? I don't think we made it. Let's see. Dang. We are 5 subscribers short of 56,000, meaning we will hit it tonight. At some point, 56,000 subscribers almost. I appreciate every last one of you so much more than you'll ever know. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. It helps the algorithm. It helps me quite a bit. I appreciate it. I appreciate all you guys so much more than you'll ever know. And yes, Lee returned too. Yeah. Yeah. Did I say 56? 96. Did I say 56? Damn. 96. We did not just lose 40,000 subscribers. I hope not. 96. 96. Okay, smash the like on the stream if you have not yet. Hit that subscribe and hit that bell so you get notified every time I post a video. And my pretty face will show up in the recommended feed of yours. Jessica, why do you keep saying no? Yes. And may the Force be with you. Always. Oh yeah, what a great stream. What a great show. You guys are the absolute best. I appreciate you guys so much more than you will ever know. 96K in a couple hours, hopefully less, but that's pretty wild. 4 more thousand until 100K, and we can dump that cup of water on my head and get the silver play button. I'm so excited. Okay, but we'll celebrate that some other time. Until then, join the Discord if you're not yet in there, and watch out for a video tomorrow. Maybe about some Mace Windu or something, I don't know. But I hope you have a great rest of your evening, great rest of your lives, and good night, everybody.